beautiful souls. Thank you for joining me today. Healing Disclosures with Nicole started with a voice, and that voice was Source Creator telling me to start a YouTube channel for truth. I invite you to join me in this first episode of the Founding Fathers series, where I will share with you what I have found to be true using divination, my intuition, historical events, seeing beyond the veil, and consulting with some of the beings that lived in the time. I ask you to open your heart and your soul to truth because it recognizes it so readily, bypassing the brain. The brain is the most manipulated organ that we own. It has been by design so that we don't see the truth, that we don't look for the truth, and we just accept what is told to us and blindly accept their authority. So I will share things with you today that are going to trigger you. There will probably be moments where you go, she does not know what she's talking about. Let me go look for that in a book. You may find some hints to truth, but it really takes discernment, and you have to go within to find the truth. The truth is within all of us if we're just brave enough to look. So I will start this series of Founding Fathers with George Washington. His lifespan was from 1732 to 1799. His presidential reign was 1789 to 97. He was a Freemason, and his last title was Worshipful Master. He became a Mason, a Master Mason, which is the highest basic rank of the Freemasonry, when he was just 21 years old. He soon commanded his first military operation as a major in Virginia's colonial militia. The first American Mason Lodge was established in Philadelphia in 1730, founded by Benjamin Franklin. Now, what I know, what I've come to find out about him, will shock you, and I'll lead into that later. Members trace the origins of Masonry back to the erecting of King Solomon's Temple, believing in the supreme being. The 18th century adhered to liberal democratic principles by and large that included religious tolerance, loyalty to local government, and the importance of charity. From its inception, Freemasonry encountered considerable opposition from organized religion, especially the Roman Catholic Church. George Washington, after becoming a Master Mason, he had the option of passing through all the stages and to obtain all the additional rights to higher degrees. But in 1788, he was elected the first Worshipful Master of Alexandria Lodge 22. The church warden is the title that goes along with that, and it's called a layperson of Anglican tradition. George Washington's great-great-grandfather was an Anglican minister. And so there was an air of expectation in the family that he would not only be bestowed Anglican tradition, but accept them and carry them forward with honor. So he did. He did not discredit or refuse the appointment, but he saw the bigger picture and that it could be used for the greater good. This set him up to be the Freemasons' worshipful master that he became. Subsequently, his inauguration and the laying of the cornerstone at the U.S. Capitol building in D.C. D.C., I have a video about that, is full of the intricate Freemasonry symbols all throughout the city. There are many, many people that have done this. The best one that I really gleaned the most information from, dropped the most clues for me, was America Unearthed with Scott Walter. He did a great job. And I covered some of that on my Divine Feminine Hiding in DC video. So please check that out. Many accounts noted that George Washington encouraged Americans to show up to worship, that it was important, but he rarely attended any religious proceedings. George Washington would serve as church warden, but left services and refused communion. Now we know that communion is given as the body of Christ. It is a symbolic ritual that has been widely accepted in Catholicism. And it goes back to the ritualistic sacrifices that were made and expected to be made to that religion. George Washington realized the place that religion played in unification. Advising prayer could establish moral code and help maintain democracy and decorum. Now, that does tie into the fact that I firmly believe most worshipers of any religion are there for the right reasons. Of course, there's good and bad in everything, and the darkness cannot create anything. So all of the positive cultural and formal celebrations of life and light were inverted. The power was taken and used for darkness as much as they could. Now, it's not a blanket statement. It's not 100%, but it does happen. Has happened for millions of years. In 1789, Washington issued the first executive order that stated the last Thursday of November would be a day of thanksgiving and prayer, marking the end of the brutal Revolutionary War. George Washington was a proponent of religious tolerance, and he spent time in synagogues, as well as going to Presbyterian, Quaker, Roman Catholic, Baptist, and Dutch Reformed churches. He believed in deism, the philosophical position that generally rejects revelation as a source of divine knowledge and asserts empirical wisdom and observation of the natural world are exclusively logical, reliable, and sufficient to determine the existence of a supreme being as the creator of the universe. So simply put, belief in God, a God that does not intervene in the universe after creating it, without any reliance on revealed religions or religious doctrine. God's existence is revealed in and through nature. George Washington did not go with the cultural norms. Instead, he looked at the quality of a person's work and character, not their religious affiliation. You know as well as I do that there's been a lot of nepotism, and there's been a lot of brotherhood that a being can send out, oh, my son is a perfect match for this job, no matter of the qualifications, because of bloodline, breeding, and affiliation in secret societies or religious preferences. So George Washington was criticized for going against that habit. His political rivals pointed these events out in their campaigns as a weakness, but the community and the country as a whole saw this as a strength, valued the difference, and used that to elect him as our first president. George Washington found out early on that Ben Franklin was funding both sides of the war, and that Ben Franklin was a cannibal. Like so many of his soldiers, they fed off of the prisoners of war and the citizens of the land that they marched through. George Washington fought harder for the people and spreading the truth of what was truly happening. He feared that a repeat of what had happened in England with the bloody past would happen there in the colonies. I believe George Washington was a spiritual being having an earthly existence. He had high consciousness, and he incarnated here on this earth to raise the Christ consciousness frequency and endeavor to share what unity consciousness meant. Things that I have shared with you already to this point in this video have demonstrated that his actions were to bring all different kinds of beings together for the greater good. The soul of George Washington was of the light, in alignment to Source Creator, and is the same soul as one of our most beloved recent presidents. And I will leave that for you to figure out. Those with eyes to see and ears to hear can see the truth and connect the dots as well. The information that you go in search of, unless you are looking and can find unmolested text from prior to 1720-ish, you're not going to get the truth. It was that long ago that the lies were started to be put forth in a concerted effort and shared with us as doctrine. All of this came from a myriad of resources. The next piece that I'm about to tell you is strictly from my intuition and what I feel is truth in my soul. George Washington, George Washington was connected to the Galactic Advisors. George Washington incarnated to infuse unity consciousness into a divided world. In his time, the bloodthirst was ravaging many colonies and many countries. The induction into Freemasonry was his way to obtain power, position, and protection of the order, and ultimately offer alternatives and balance to the people. If you know anything about Freemasonry, you know that their goal was to establish and maintain balance in all things. Balance is the key. That's not how we have been governed. We have not been governed in a balanced society. We've not been governed in a balanced government. There's been an angle, a leverage, and a manipulation from the very, very beginning. We have been more than happy as a population of people to take what was given to us and not question. We believed for a long time that everyone on this continent, known as North America, came over in ships. No one originated here but the indigenous people. And the truth is that there were many beings that came to this land to have a beautiful life and was already in process of that beautiful life when the colonists were shipped here and the royal bloodline armies started to invade. Now, I want you to go back, look at things with fresh eyes. If you think you know history and you're alive right now, I promise you, you don't. Anything in a book, anything in a text, you can have a doctorate in history. It's all been prefabricated. It's a collective effort to make you believe a story. I, for one, would prefer to just know the truth, even if the truth is brutal and ugly. There have been light beings that have incarnated on this planet for as long as we've been in existence to try to help balance the darkness. Yes, we are a people that was created from a slave hybrid program from the Anunnaki. That has been proven. But we evolved and we had help, galactic help, divine help. Those are the light. And it is those beings that have helped balance our culture and our world from our inception. Now we endeavor to make the world a better place. And you can only do that whenever you are coming from a foundation of truth, sincerity, sovereignty, and authenticity. I speak what I know to be true in my soul, what I've had beings from the other side of the veil step forward and tell me because it has weighed on them even after they left this plane of dimension. So I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of discovery of our founding fathers. George Washington, I believe, was a lot more than what anyone expected him to be. And I honor his existence on this earth. And I honor what he gave to this country. Join me again next time for episode 2 of Founding Fathers.